the niche litmus test. In this section here, we're going to put your targeted niche that you found in the last video. You're going to put it to the test here, and you're going to do so in a scientific way. During this process, you want to remove all emotional attachments that you may have with a niche. You see, what happens is you find an exciting niche, and you get really, it really sticks out, and you start to already picture the money. You can feel the money in your hand, and you get married to it. All right, and a lot of people get married to a niche too quickly, because without seeing if it's a valid niche to get into, you're just you're going off the gut again, and you really don't want to be, making a decision emotionally with this thing. You want to just look at what the numbers and what the data is telling you. That overall is the much faster, smarter, and better way to get into a niche market, by testing it and seeing if there is a valid reason for you to go and start building a profitable business in that arena. Okay, so going through your keyword research, you have certainly by now have already identified some niche topics that you can go after that have so far good looking potential. Now you want to run them through this test and ask these 4 questions. Do these people have money to spend? Are they passionate, borderline obsessed about the topic? Is this a niche with potential? And are they reachable? So let's look at these one by one. Number 1, you really need to know if these people have the money to buy a product that you would be selling. It's a great sign to see if there's to see competitors out there selling to this market that you're trying to identify. Competition isn't a bad thing. It just means that you found something that's going to be profitable, because if it weren't making the money, they wouldn't be out there selling in that arena. So if you see other sites already selling to the market, the niche market that you have in mind, that's a good thing. That must mean that these people have money to spend. You don't want to be marketing to, let's say, people online who, you don't want to be targeting people. For example, if you had a list where if you had a target niche where their demographics are, most of them don't have internet connections, and this is just a dramatic example. None of them can approve for credit cards, so they don't have credit cards, and it's below a certain income level, and you're selling, how to have your yacht polished on the weekend type of product. You got to make sure that the people that you're targeting have money to spend and have the ability to do so online. You don't want to be targeting children, who don't have access to online payments unless you have a way to convert the parents, which could be tricky sometimes. Number 2, are they passionate, borderline obsessed about the topic? Okay. This is a no-brainer. A passionate niche market is a market that their passion pretty much consumes their life. They talk about it every chance they get with their friends. They read about it in magazines. They watch it on TV, wherever they can. You're looking for prospects who are so darn passionate that they just have to know everything related to their subject. Okay, these niches are golfers, like we're talking about. Golfers are ridiculous. Golfers become obsessive compulsive about their niche, and I can see why. I've started golfing, and it's a very addicting sport. A very expensive sport, it can be, but it's also very addicting. Video gamers, people who are into some crafts like scrapbooking, and the list goes on. But golfers mainly, since we used that example earlier, is a perfect example of a niche that has a huge passion for their hobby and for that interest. Is it a niche with potential? Number 3, you want to ask if the market is small enough that there are not so many competitors in it that you can get eaten up, but you want it to be large enough that will allow you to make a good amount of money for a long term, evergreen, for months and years to come. Okay, think of the fish example I gave you earlier. If you really want a small pond, but big enough where you can fish in it to make it worth your efforts. Okay. It doesn't have to be microscopic, but you want it to be so that you're not going up against, a heavyweight Fortune 500 company who's trying to provide the same product that you want to the same niche. And it's not always the case that the bigger companies will do the job better than you. It's just that they have more money to waste doing it wrong than you do. You know, they can afford to waste $120,000 only to learn that $1,000 of that was was profitable as far as bringing in a target audience, so that the next month they can correct that and only spend $5,000. Whereas the average Joe or the average marketer looking to get started to build a business, if you're going up against something like that, then there's nothing you can do, because they don't care about they care, but they know that they'll waste that $100,000 to find out what works, so that now they can have a profitable stream of income for years to come after that. So stick away from the going up head to head with the big boys so far. There's ways around it, but you don't want to start off with a battle like that. And lastly, certainly not least, you want to make sure that your niche is reachable. Are they reachable? Are there places where they gather online? Are there publications and subscriptions that they subscribe to, or the magazines that they read? Are there clubs that where they congregate? You have to be able to reach them some way or another. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how many of them are. You can't get your message, your offer in front of them, and it doesn't make a bit of a difference. So in this case, it would be things like groups, forums, discussion boards, fan pages on Facebook, and things like that. So as you proceed through the next videos to come, you want to keep these 4 things in mind, and you want to run any niche market that you're potentially looking at through this test. And if it makes it through, like I know already for a fact that golf would, most golfing sub niches within that industry would pass this test, then it's certainly the only one that you would be at risk at, I would say, is the competition factor. But even then, there's so many sub niches within golf. If you were to focus just on that one sub niche, it would cut down on competition. So keep these 4 questions in mind as you move through, and we're coming down the home stretch of actually solidifying and getting ready to sketch out the blueprint for your first profitable product. All right, so let's move on to the next video and take this information and build on it.